Good evening and thanks for joining us on Nationwide today. I'm Elizabeth Omori with the news. Motorists woke up to the new petrol pump price of 670 naira at NNPC limited retail stations across the country. For most motorists, this may mean higher price from independent and major marketers. To this effect, petrol queues have resurfaced in stations still selling at 540 naira per litre. Lydia Sampson has a situation report.
A visit to most petrol stations indicates that motorists, in a bid to quickly buy at the old price, rushed to petrol stations still selling at 540 naira per litre.
It's bad and it's hurting.
Formerly, we consume 200,000 a month, but now we are talking of millions. And the cost of running the office is not okay for us.
And before, I've been filling my car before 537 naira. At the rate of 13,500. We are buying now 30-something thousand naira for my car now.
I'm not surprised because it can happen. Last week they are saying they don't add fuel to 700, but they deny it. But now actually it's happened.
My take is I don't know when NNPC are the one regulating our fuel now. If it is market forces, are other marketers also selling like that? I don't know.
This morning we wake up, then they give us information that we should change the price by 617. So actually we don't know what is happening. So whenever they give us the go ahead, we reduce it. When they say we should increase, we should increase.
How much are you buying per litre now at this NNPC?
617. When market first is supposed to reduce, that one they will not reduce it. It's only the increase they normally comply with.
I would have advised our fellow Nigerians to keep calm. I think it's happening like this in other countries. In a short while, it will come down.
At the time of filing in this report, it was observed that though only NNPC limited stations are selling at 617 naira per litre, most stations are also on the verge of changing their pump prices. While others have changed to 617 on their pump, the old price is still on display. Subsidy is gone. And in a deregulated market, products are sourced by marketers while calculating their margin. Expert says they are at liberty to sell at a reasonable price to make profit and sustain availability. The government agency hitherto responsible for regulating price is the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, though removal of subsidy has stripped NMDPRA of the right to regulate the price. It, however, has a moral responsibility to protect consumers from exploitation. The pump price will largely depend on foreign exchange, global crude price, cost of sea transportation and handling, import charges margin, logistics, inland and margin of distributors and retailers. So, in an ideal situation, experts says it is practically impossible for petrol price to be fixed even for 1 week. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says the increase in the price of PMS is as a result of market realities, making sure that market regulates itself. Group Managing Director of NNPC Limited stated this while briefing State House correspondents.
What I know is that the market forces will regulate the market. Prices will go down sometimes it will go up, but there will be stability of supply, and I'm also assuring Nigerians that this is the best way to go forward so that we can adjust prices when market comes. I don't have the details this moment, but I know that our marketing wing acts just like every other company in this business. I know that a number of companies have imported petroleum products today, PMS. So many of them are online. I'm sure my colleague will confirm this. So market forces have started to play. People have started having confidence in the market, and the private sector people are now importing product. But there's no way they can recover their costs if they cannot take market reflective costs.
Pricing, as a regulator, we are not going to put a cap on the price because we are not part of those importing. We are not a marketing company, we are just a regulator. So when you say market forces are working, basically what it is that you can see the price of crude going up. A couple of a week or so ago, the price of crude was hovering around $70 per barrel. Now it's hovering about $80 per barrel. So of course, the crude price also drives the product price. Because the importers are importing, they are basing it on the cost of importation plus the freight, plus other cost elements in terms of local distribution.
The pump price was increased from 540 naira per litre to 617 naira. In other news, the Nigerian Navy has demolished 2 illegal crude oil refinery sites, recovered arms and ammunition from suspected sea robbers in Enugu State.
In line with the strategic directive of the Chief of the Naval Staff handed to the Flag Officer commanding Central Naval Command to stamp out criminal elements threatening national security, safety of lives and property, and economic prosperity, the Nigerian Navy ship NNPC has heightened its operations. Briefing newsmen on the successes recorded during the period under review, Commander NNPC, Commodore Olushina Ojebode said the anti-crude oil theft patrol team on routine surveillance recovered illegally refined products in a fishing camp at Ezetu community around Foropa, while 2 illegal oil refining sites were also discovered in Tabidaba, all in southern Ijo local government area of Enugu State.
Through illegal refining sites, each having 2 large ovens and 2 large reservoirs, laden with about 23,000 and 15,000 liters of illegally refined automotive gas oil. These were estimated to be worth more than 36 million naira.
Similarly, the anti-sea robbery team intercepted speedboats conveying armed men suspected to be sea robbers.
After a hot pursuit and sustained fire, the criminals abandoned their boats and fled into the bushes. On exploitation of the site, the patrol team recovered 2 AK-47 rifles, 6 AK-47 magazines, and 133 rounds of 7.62 millimeter special ammunition, a speedboat, 1 small Techno mobile phone, 1 Baofeng walkie-talkie, and about 5,000 naira cash.
The commander says all recovered items will be handled according to the standing operating procedures. Ebinimi Zitemiola, NTA News.
The Nigerian Medical Association Cross River State chapter says it is not embarking on strike, but will not attend to patients despite being at their offices until its kidnapped member, Professor Ekanem Ephraim, is released safe and sound from the abductor's den. Chairman of the body, Dr. Felix Archibong, stated this while interacting with the press after a protest and meeting with the state government and security agencies. Paul Abel completes the story.
The protest by the Nigerian Medical Association members is to express their grievances to the government about the onslaught of kidnappers on frequent abduction of medical doctors and the current case where a doctor is being held captive by kidnappers for days now. Despite the high-powered meeting with government and security agencies, the NMA says it has not changed its stand of withdrawing its services indefinitely until the kidnapped member is released by kidnappers.
It's over 72 hours since our member has been kidnapped. They've contacted the family and made a demand for 15 million. Thereafter, they've stopped contacting the family.
A visit to the General Hospital to ascertain the level of compliance by doctors shows that most of the wards are deserted as patients appeal for succor as there is no one to attend to them.
I'm just appealing to him that he should continue to enforce the security so that all this will not happen any longer.
However, the NMA commends the state government efforts to rescue its colleague.
Since this thing started in previous administration, this is the first time the governor is giving us orders, and the deputy governor represented His Excellency with other security chief, and we met.
The NMA chairman, who comments on the likely implication of the down tunnel on people, emphasized that the masses also have a role to play to stop this negative trend. Professor Ekanem Ephraim, a consultant with the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, was abducted by kidnappers on 13 July 2023 in a clinic while attending to a patient. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
To internal security, the Southeast has been known to be one of the peaceful regions in Nigeria, but the narrative has changed in recent times. This development, analysts say, is affecting the socio-economic growth of the region, particularly with the sit-at-home declaration. Let's now join Susan Eze in Enugu to give us better perspective on the state of insecurity in that region and way forward to reclaim the region's glory. Susan, thank you so much for joining us on Nationwide.
Thank you.
All right, could you tell us how disturbing or worrisome is security issues in the Southeast?
Well, I would say that right now, the security situation in the Southeast is quite worrisome. It is indeed worrisome because the situation we have now, where people can go out peacefully, where people go out with fear, where people can go out in the evenings, once it's 5, 6, people are rushing home. There is no more nightlife, there is no more free travels. It is truly worrisome. Before now, the Southeast has been known as a very peaceful zone. Before now, talking about the 80s and the 90s, insecurity situations revolved around armed robbery and perhaps communal clashes. And they occur, and then here there's been armed robbery here and there. But now the situation is completely compounded. I would say it now comes in 3 directions. I would say commercial crimes. We have kidnapping. People are now kidnapped for ransom. We have ritual killings. Who believe they kidnap and they make rituals with their victims and make money. And then we have the issue of the who boys who believe in crime. Lately, we also have violent agitations.
Okay.
Before, it used to be peaceful agitations, but things have just compounded and things have become violent and the people are worried because life is no longer the same.
Of course.
No
All right, Susan, let me ask you this. What efforts or measures are in place by the state government to tackle this issue in the region?
Well, I can hear you clearly, but what I heard, this situation has a lot of economic implications in the zone.
Okay.
In the whole of South, go on here and the economy thrives on this business. But because of the security situation, things are no longer moving as they used to. Recently in a function, the governor was speaking and he did say that the economic implication of the regular sit-at-homes is costing the state about 10 billion naira every Monday. And that is a huge loss for the state. You can now imagine the whole Southeast zone. But other people also have their views about the implications of this on our economy. With me here, I have someone who lives in Enugu, who is from this area, Barrister Nena Anozie. Barrister, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You reside around here, you see what's going on. In your view, what's the economic implication and what's your word to those who do this?
All right, thank you so much. The implication of economic status of Enugu State currently is that of a negative downturn. The problem has so escalated that people's lives and properties are not safe. Every Monday we are meant to sit at home. Sometimes they are declared 1 week sit at home. I even learned they are planning to declare 2 weeks sit at home. So this has really not encouraged both local and foreign investors. It has obstructed our businesses because Enugu people, we always live on daily businesses. We have a lot of traders here, but I discovered that because of fear of their lives and properties, they hardly come out, especially on Mondays. Everybody, our governor has tried his best to ensure that people come out and move out freely, but these hoodlums are not really allowing us. And so if you permit me, I want to request and appeal that these people, these perpetrators of this violence, these crimes, should please consider the lives of our children, consider the lives of our husbands and everyone living in the state.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Susan, before I let you go, I'd like to ask you this again. What efforts are in place to tackle or address this issue?
All right, because the problem is really worrisome, there's been a lot of efforts from different quarters.
Okay.
The state governments have been making efforts, the security agencies have been making efforts, and they've been having series of meetings, and stakeholders have also been involved. But to speak more on this, I have a security agent. He is the Chief Superintendent of Corps, John Okorie, the Head of Public Relations, NSCDC Enugu.
Thank you very much.
What exactly is the level of synergy among security agencies so that this situation can be put to stop?
The pragmatic state governor, His Excellency Barrister Peter, Dr. Peter Mba, is security friendly and is not playing. He's not sleeping with his 2 eyes closed. He's determined to face insecurity headlong in the state. And that was why, when he assumed the office, he invited all the security agents, and since then there has been a robust synergy between the security agents, and they have been working tirelessly. That was why he rolled out a series of vehicles to strategic places in the state where security agents and the operatives are seen on a daily basis to pacify the fears already instilled in the mind of the citizens of the state. With this movement, the governor himself is not tired at all. He is the point man ensuring the security of the state. Oftentimes you see him taking the lead to ensure that the directives.
So hopefully very soon we'll begin to see the results.
But the results are already coming out gradually. Right. Within the next few months, we shall have every cause to glorify God.
Thank you for coming.
Susan, I want to thank you so much for the updates. Right. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Vice Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has visited the 2 Nigerian Air Force pilots who successfully ejected from the crashed FT-7NI trainer aircraft, which occurred on Friday, 14th of July 2023 in Makurdi. The pilots, who were flown to Abuja on the directive of the Chief of Air Staff for extra medical care and attention, are in stable condition and recuperating. Air Vice Marshal Hassan Abubakar, accompanied by the Nigerian Air Force Chief of Medical Services, Air Vice Marshal Anthony Ekpe, expressed delight on seeing the pilots, who were in high spirit and looking forward to getting back on their feet to resume work. The Chief of Air Staff commended them for their courage and commitment to ongoing training efforts on counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism. First Lady of Nigeria, Oluremi Tinubu, has described late former First Lady Mariam Babangida as a matriarch of the land who redefined the scope of women participation in national development and touched the lives of Nigerians through a pet project, Better Life Program for Rural Women. She stated this at an official ceremony to rename the National Center for Women Development after the late former First Lady in Abuja. The First Lady added that the late Mariam Babangida would always be celebrated for her gift of women emancipation.
The Miriam Babangida National Center for Women Development carries a profound message of inspiration and aspiration for Nigerian women. Her Excellency Dr. Mrs. Babangida's legacy as a passionate advocate for women's rights serves as a constant reminder of what can be achieved when society invests in women's development.
At the ceremony, attended by wife of the Vice President, two sons of the deceased, gender equality advocate and other dignitaries, the official portrait of the First Lady was also unveiled. You're watching Nationwide on NTA. Time to head to Lagos, where Adeola is standing by with some reports from her zone. Hello, Adeola.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good to see you. In renewing its commitment to stamping out all forms of illegal importation into the country, the Nigeria Customs Service has intercepted 31 rifles within 2 weeks of its anti-smuggling intervention in the month of July. The Acting Comptroller General of Customs, Bashir Adewale Adeniyi, while showcasing the seizures in Lagos, says the discovery is a sign that the service has re-strategized its operations to heighten compliance with legitimate trade. Michael Olaleye reports.
A new dawn, a new vigor, marched with determination to put an end to illegal importation. But this time, dangerous consignments were caught in the web of the anti-smuggling crusade. The first consignment of the 3 intercepted within 2 weeks, according to the customs, is a product of joint operations at the PTML terminal in Lagos, in which 10 guns of different types, including 442 rounds of live ammunition and 14 empty magazines, were concealed in plastic drums.
The clearing agents, one Mr. Shokunbi Olanrewaju and Mr. Joseph Nwadiodo, who was expected to take delivery of the container, are currently detained as suspects in connection with the seizure.
Another 18 arms concealed in similar fashion were discovered at the Tinkan Island port after 100% physical examination of a 1x40-foot container, in addition to the latest, which occurred on the 12th of July 2023, involving a Toyota Camry loaded with 6 sacks of charcoal used to hide 3 pump-action rifles and 174 live cartridges along Owodi Agility axis of Enugu State.
The driver of the vehicle, who knew the content he was conveying, vis-a-vis the attendant consequences of his action before the law, jumped into the bush and escaped arrest. The services, human resources, and logistics are collectively harnessed to combat and prevent economic sabotage.
While explaining that most of the contrabands were imported from the United States to be delivered to the southeastern part of the country, the Acting Comptroller General of Customs reaffirms the readiness of the service to seamlessly deliver on its mandate, as stipulated in the Policy Advisory Council documents of the present administration. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NT News.
For Nigeria's developmental agenda as envisaged by the nation's founding fathers to be accomplished, both the leadership and the followers must be on the same page in the task of nation building by imbibing the spirit of selfless sacrifice to hasten the progress of the nation. Joel Pupuola reports that stakeholders believe it will require a reorientation for Nigerians to understand the essence of self-sacrifice.
Think not of what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country is a popular quote of former American President John F. Kennedy, which speaks to the need to make positive impact in the growth trajectory of the nation. The same word of admonition also applies to Nigeria at this critical time when all hands are expected to be on deck, but not many Nigerians understand the significance of selfless sacrifice.
It starts from the home. So the way we bring up our children, the values we instill on them,
Almost everyone in the world is selfish. We only think of ourselves. But even at that, you can still see that when the need arises for us to contribute to nation, you see many of us doing it.
Selfless sacrifice, observers believe, start from the grassroots through active participation in community development services, performing civic duties and other acts of patriotism, including mobilizing others to join in the task of national development.
Nigerians are selfless. Okay, something happened to me some days ago. My car just got stuck somewhere, and before I knew it, 5, 6, 7 people helped me. So I went with other guys trying to look for stones, and I was like, wow.
The nation's founding fathers like Ahmadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa, Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and the hero of apartheid struggle, Nelson Mandela, are still relevant till date for their selfless sacrifice. Respondents unanimously agreed that both the leaders and the followers should make selfless sacrifice a priority. In Lagos, Joel Pukbola, NTA News.
And those are the stories making the rounds in Lagos at this time. Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Salamatu in our Kaduna Network Center will guide us through the next set of reports after these messages. To stay with us.
On Nationwide, and we thank you for staying tuned. And from Jigawa, Governor Umar Namadi says his government will work closely with national and international development partners to accelerate access in both service and production sectors of the state economy. The governor stated this during a meeting with one of such development partners at the State House in Duse. Muhammad Askira reports.
Without a functional healthcare service delivery as such, he is willing to have a productive partnership with organizations to bridge the gaps in effective service delivery in the health sector. Mala Umar Namadi said Christian Blind Mission International, which has been in Jigawa State for the past 27 years, assisting the state government in the implementation of life-touching programs, had proved itself to be a dependable partner. The governor assured the German-funded organization of his administration's commitments to ensuring the successful completion of its project centered on comprehensive eye care services across the state. Leader of the delegation and the country director of the program, Mr. Bright Ikwaramedu, said the program is expected to gap 1.
Do bear with us, we will not be able to continue with our studio in Kaduna. But let's move on. The devastation of erosion on public and private infrastructures and threats to livelihoods in communities across the country have prompted the Senate to suggest a holistic approach to tackle the menace. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, while commenting on motions raised concerning gully erosion in some states of the Federation, says it behoves on Parliament to do more on oversight in relations to projects that impact the lives and economic well-being of Nigerians. Senate urges the Federal Ministry of Works, Ecological Fund Office and the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency to immediately commence remedial works in all areas affected.
In one of my towns, they called Ikotekbene, which was the first experimental local government in West Africa during the colonial era. They have a secondary school there they call Goretti Girls Secondary School. The entire dormitory, girls' hostel, all the buildings have been washed away, captured by gully erosion. So I don't know, maybe one day we may have to do a holistic approach to pick the different sites that are most affected and collate them and bring them to the attention of the authorities. Because it's very difficult for the ecological office to know most of the sufferings that people are going through as a result of this.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has called for investigation and prosecution of security personnel found culpable of extrajudicial killings in parts of the country. This is sequel to a motion and petition on the floor of the House seeking justice for the alleged killing of 2-year-old Ivan Onose Omrina by stray bullet allegedly fired by men of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, in Asaba, Delta State.
Mandates the Committee on Human Rights, when constituted, to ensure that the family of Onose are adequately compensated for their loss. Also mandates the Committee on National Security and Intelligence, when constituted, to effectively monitor the activities of law enforcement agencies.
Most of the law enforcement agencies to be advised to have their active duty personnel wear body cameras. It is important that they note that this is one of the best work practices.
Several resolutions passed at Tuesday's plenary bothered on infrastructure development and road rehabilitation.
The House resolves that we urge the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing and Federal Road Maintenance Agency to urgently consider dualizing the Benin-Abraka Road for ease of movement within the connected states.
Urge the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to complete the construction of the damaged Akwanga Highway Bridge, monitor and ensure that quality materials are used for the construction of roads and bridges to avoid frequent collapse.
National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikpen reports that the Green Chamber also resolved to reconsider 6 outstanding bills from the 9th Assembly. A bit from the Judiciary, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has ordered the new Nigeria People's Party to recognize Hassan Abdullahi as the authentic governorship candidate of the party for the November 2023 Kogi governorship election. Olabode Arewa reports that the judgment was filed to challenge the substitution of Abdullahi's name by the NNPP.
In the statement of claims filed by Hassan Abdullahi, challenging the substitution of his name by the new Nigeria People's Party in Kogi State, the plaintiff said he won the NNPP governorship primary election held in Lokoja in May this year, but he was surprised to see that his name was substituted in the list submitted to INEC. Having reviewed the facts, the court held that, indeed, Hassan Abdullahi was the authentic governorship candidate of the party and should be recognized as such.
That is to say that INEC has been mandated to publish our client's name as a winner of that primary election.
In a related matter, the High Court has affirmed Ahmed Usman Ododo as the lawful governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress at the coming Kogi State governorship election slated for November. The suit was filed by Abubakar Achimugu, one of the aggrieved governorship aspirants. He claimed that Ododo, who eventually clinched the ticket, failed to resign his appointment as the Kogi State Auditor General for local government at least 30 days before the party's primary election, in line with Section 84 of the Electoral Act of 2022. Justice Obiora Egwatu, however, held that the respondents have placed sufficient materials before the court indicating that Ododo indeed resigned his appointment before participating in the primary election.
We say he didn't resign. They came back and said they resigned. And then we responded by saying that, look, we have looked at what you have brought as evidence of resignation, and we have the view that they are not the kind of resignation required by the law. So we didn't change our case.
Recently, the Federal Court also delivered the judgment with respect to a similar matter filed by Senator Smart Adeyemi, another aggrieved governorship aspirant in the same election. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
It is through that the world has become a global village with information now easily available for any knowledge seeker. The judicial arm of government says it will not be left out in efforts by organizations everywhere to embrace continuous learning for better service delivery. At a training workshop held in Abuja for librarians working in judicial divisions across the country, the message from the National Judicial Council is for them to improve on their performances.
It is not in doubt that judicial librarians and library officers play an integral role in ensuring that the administration of justice is efficient and effective, and this workshop supports the significance the judiciary places on its library personnel, as they will always be in need for a continuous capacity building of this category of staff.
The NJI notes that library officers are key players in the smooth running of administration of justice. It is in their interest to familiarize themselves with information and communication technology tools in line with practices everywhere. And for more reports on Nationwide, let's join Ladidi in Maiduguri.
Welcome to Maiduguri. In a drive to fulfill long-term yearnings and aspirations of Yobe communities, the state government has flagged off construction of 25-kilometer strategic rural roads project in Busari and Kasuwari local government areas with a view of unlocking their agricultural potentials. Yunus Suleiman reports that the roads were among numerous developmental projects captured in the state budget for the 2023 fiscal year.
Infrastructure development, especially road construction, remains critical to the development of any society. A more reason that the sector forms part of policy direction of the current administration in Yobe State. The flagging off of Gashua Masaba 25-kilometer road, Governor Mai Malabuni says, is a move aims at achieving that commitment.
The Gashua Masaba road, when completed, is expected to support the growth of agricultural productivity and other socio-economic growth among the industrious people of these communities.
As a matter of fact, this project is a testimony that His Excellency Honorable Mai Malabuni Churaman Gujiba is a grassroots politician par excellence, also a farmer-friendly governor, for bringing access road to this area that supply larger percentage of farm produce in the state.
Similarly, Governor Buni flagged up the construction of a 4-kilometer Karasuagalu Road project in continuation of Yobe State government's drive towards providing infrastructure to open up communities for socio-economic growth and development.
I therefore urge the communities to support the government and the contractor to execute this road project successfully.
The two strategic road projects are to go with the sum of 5.7 billion naira and are expected to be completed in the next 15 months. In the Matru, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
The 7th Division Nigerian Army, Maiduguri, remains at the center of counter-insurgency operations towards restoration of peace in Borno and neighboring state as newly appointed General Officer commanding the formation and Commander Sector 1 Operation Hadinkai, Major General Peter Mala, promises to lead the fight to the terrorist enclaves and ensure all abducted persons regain freedom. Major General Peter takes over from Major General Abdusalam Abubakar. Maimuna Garba reports.
The 7th Division Nigerian Army Maiduguri was a child of circumstance created at the peak of insurgency. The new GOC Major General Peter Mala noted that the counter-insurgency operations has greatly decimated the Boko Haram insurgents, saying the remnants and marauding terrorists carrying out pockets of attacks to gain recognition will be dealt with. General Peter charged troops to continue to be courageous in their quest to rid their areas of responsibilities of terrorism. The outgoing GOC Major General Abdulsalam Abubakar, in a valedictory address to troops of 7th Division, appreciated them for their efforts and commitment to the war, as well as charged them to support the vision of the new GOC.
We have achieved significant milestone was the capture of the terrorist underground armory, which is the largest cache in the history of the insurgency in the northeast.
Major General Peter Amala was the Commandant Depot Nigerian Army before he was redeployed to 7th Division as GOC, while Major General Abdulsalam Abubakar is now the GOC 3rd Division Nigerian Army and Operation Safe Haven. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
That does it from Maiduguri. Nationwide continues with Elizabeth in Abuja after this time out. Do stay with us.
You're still watching Nationwide on NTA. With 100 days of the current administration in sight, APC supporters are looking at the performance of the administration and meeting campaign promises with great hopes. The group says Tinubu's presidency is taking concrete measures in repositioning the economy for better welfare and greater prosperity of the country.
With gladness in our hearts that we are preparing for this 100 days in office. We went back to our drawing table. We are checkmating this renewed hope administration, their promises to the Nigerian women. And we can authoritatively say that we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel already, even though we are just barely 3 months in office.
The support group rates high the choice of President Tinubu's team and urges him to continue to take positive measures that will put the country on the right trajectory. And our next stop is Enugu, where Mina is standing by with some reports. Mina, over to you.
Good evening and welcome to Enugu. Enugu State Governor Peter Mba has urged political and traditional leaders at the grassroots level to advocate peace and security in order to foster economic growth and development of the state. Chika Ugu reports that the governor was speaking at a meeting with presidents general of various town unions in Enugu State.
It is no longer news that the state government is focused on improving the economy of the state through public-private sector investment. What is news is that Governor Peter Mba is seeking various ways to project the state in a good light and attract investors. To achieve this, insecurity remains one major challenge that needs to be tackled, and the state government is leaving nothing to chance. Reason for this convergence of presidents general of various town unions in the state to advocate their support with the state government in the fight against insecurity.
The practice of sitting at home, ordered by somebody you have not given your mandate to lead you, would end up impoverishing you, your women, and your children.
Appreciative of the opportunity to interact with the state governor on ways to foster peace and boost the state's economy, the President General promised to educate members of their various communities on the implications of projecting activities of hoodlums.
We are agents of a people. We are agents of the silent majority of our population in rural areas. We have heard him, and we're going to carry the message back.
If you can reorganize our local vigilante, equip them properly, I assure you that there will be a change.
This is one of various meetings with key players the governor has convened to enthrone peace and security, as well as grow the state's economy to an immeasurable height. In Enugu, Chika Ugu, NTA News.
Women and female children, just like their male counterparts, deserve respect and equal treatment if the society must attain Vision 5, 8, and 10 of the Sustainable Development Goals. This formed crux of the matter at the flag-off of sensitization campaign against gender-based violence in Ebonyi State. Fortunate also reports.
Determination to eliminate all forms of violence against women and children. The wife of the fourth democratically elected governor of Ebonyi State, Mrs. Maudlin Mary Ozamaka Ogbonnamifro, has kicked off a campaign against all forms of violence against women and children, which is to be stepped down in the 13 council areas of Ebonyi State for implementation. Stakeholders at the event were unanimous in their call for more stringent measures in tackling the menace, which tends to have eaten deep into the fabrics of the society.
To please step down this project so that we will address our people there cordially and teach them the right way.
We are starting with desensitization. Soon we take it down to the grassroots, where we get involved so many other people. We will not leave any stone unturned. The chairpersons to make sure that no child is abused again in Ebonyi State.
In no this time, go to different local governments to organize and bring it down the grassroots. The rate of negligence of female children by parents and the attendant exposure to violence, which led to the rescue of 20 Ebonyi girls trafficked to Anambra State for prostitution, are among issues that will no longer be treated with kids' gloves, as revealed by wife of Ebonyi State Governor.
Every mother should know where the child is, and time to time ask them their problem. It may not really be money.
With the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law domesticated in the state, members of the Gender-Based Violence Task Force and State Coordinator of NAPTIP, Mrs. Betta Ofo, are insisting that GBV and FGM can be reduced drastically if offenders are punished accordingly. In Abakaliki, Fortunate Ozo, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Elizabeth in Abuja for the rest of Nationwide.
Thank you, Mina. And next is Sports Update with Gift George.
On the Nigerian Premier Football League, Okechukwu Paloku has emerged as the new chairman of the Nigerian Premier Club Owners Association. The general manager of Rivers United emerged as the new chairman of the Nigerian Premier League Club Owners Association after the elections on Monday in Abuja, with all 20 clubs participating. Remo Stars chairman Kunle Shonami and Doma United Suleiman Omar were elected chairmen to represent the North and South on the board, while Sporting Lagos chairman and sports journalist Gordon Enakena emerged as the association's general secretary. In a related development, Nigerian Football Federation President Ibrahim Gosso has inaugurated board members of the Nigerian National League, Nationwide League 1, and the Nigerian Women's Football League in Abuja, urging them to hit the ground running ahead of the new season in a deliberate attempt to revamp the league system towards attracting sponsorship and more followership.
We must try as much as possible to see how we can source for money in order for us to develop this game of football.
There are a lot of changes that certainly must be addressed.
In basketball, the third edition of the DK Olukoya Women's Basketball Tournament ended at the National Stadium Lagos, with MFM Lagos retaining the title. The annual event, which had 8 teams, provided a platform where talented players are scouted for the national teams. In the finals, MFM Queens Lagos defeated MFM Achievers by Elsa 48-46.
4 of MFM girls have been invited to the national team. And as we speak, there's another one happening. 2 of them told me that they've been invited to the senior national team of Nigeria.
In squash, to improve the rating of Nigerian players worldwide, the Nigerian Squash Federation has organized a closed satellite tournament which ended at the Teslim Balogun Stadium, Lagos. The 5-day competition, which featured about 64 players from various parts of the country, was solely for senior players in Nigeria.
Closed satellites are the entry-level tournaments, allowing them to earn ranking points locally, which is really good for the players.
In the women's final, Busaya Olatunji beat Rufuyat Abdulaziz 3-2, while Anu Adegoke defeated Gabriel Olufumilayo also by 3-2 to emerge champion in the men's category. With Sports Update, Gift George, NTA News.
In Sports Update with Gift ends nationwide today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Good evening.